I want to start with Colorado just because what a shot in the arm for college football this is. However you fall on Colorado, and by the way, I can't imagine you fall anything negative-wise after yesterday. Even I was on the record as saying I didn't love the way that Deion Sanders necessarily handled the transition. But, boy, who cares when it comes to what we see on the football field? Colorado gets it done outright as 21-point dogs. Saw 20.5, close at 21 in some spots against TCU. TCU, of course, in the title game last year. They win it 45-42 and do so in spectacular fashion, just absolute spectacular fashion. 86 new players. Travis Hunter's two-way display. 80 snaps as a cornerback, 64 as a wideout. He caught 11 passes for 119 yards. That was the second most on the team. Dylan Edwards was 5 for 135, 3 touchdowns. Xavier Weaver, 6 for 118. Jimmy Horn Jr., 11 for 117 and a touch. And Travis Hunter's best play, probably the catch that was not a catch in the end zone when he was closely defended. Just an unbelievable display. By the way, I've done the on pace. On pace for 1,728 snaps in the regular season. You're welcome.
It's incredible.
And then Shedeur Sanders, who just, 510 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Colorado, as far as next week's game, because we could just push it forward to that, Colorado was a 8.5-point dog on the look-ahead against Nebraska. Their season win total was 3.5. They were 200-1 to win the national championship. Easy, everybody on the national championship. Shedeur was 150-1 to win the Heisman. Travis Hunter was 100-1 to win the Heisman. Now, as we sit here today, live at the D, Colorado is a 3-point favorite against Nebraska. That is a 11.5-point move. Their season win total is up to 5 from 3.5. Cut in half for the national championship. Again, easy, everybody on the national championship. Let's relax. 100-1. Shedeur is 30-1 to win the Heisman. Travis Hunter 30-1 to win the Heisman. Now, let me say this. A few things. Well, there's so many things. One, I was asked, first of all, first thing first, for those who had Colorado pre-flop money line, congratulations. Mazel tov to you, 8-1, good for you.
Shout out Mike Pritchard.
Mike Pritchard.
Because I'm sure he did. Come on.
Mike Pritchard, Colorado graduate.
He told us he was taking the points. There's no way he didn't play the money line, too.
But for those who wanted to wait and see, because most of us had no idea, and let me just talk about no idea. I'm going to do a whole bunch of parenthetical sides. We always talk about the notion of CLV in sports betting and the notion of I got the best of it. Can we just all agree that none of us knows a damn thing about much when it comes to the first week of anything? Let's keep this in mind when it comes to week 1 of the NFL this coming week. It certainly was the case in college football, week 0 and week 1. Hawaii yesterday, this weekend they opened as a 10-point dog, closed as only a 2.5-point dog against Stanford. They beat them by 13. North Texas opened as a 10-point dog, closed only a 4.5-point dog against Cal. Cal crushed them by 37. UTSA, people were betting it like the game was already played. They were down 10. They lost by 3. They got up to a 3-point favorite in that game. Everybody was betting Colorado State like the game was already played. Wazoo beat them by 26. Northwestern, they were a 7-point dog. Then they were only a 5-point dog. Rutgers beat them by 24-7. Wildcats were lucky to even score in that game. San Jose State, another CLV winner, beaten by Oregon State by 25 points, 42-17. Anyway, you get the idea. Colorado, the biggest example of this. Again, 21-point dogs winning it outright. Maybe not the biggest, but one of the bigger ones. Immediately, even if you didn't have a pre-flop bet, first drive for TCU, followed by midway through the first drive for Colorado, I immediately texted Will, Felica, Fezzik, Wishneb. I'm like, I'm in, plus 316 money line. And that wasn't even the best number. Some people got better numbers. And then a subsequent bet on the next drive was like plus 280 something. People got better numbers than that. But the point being that in-game remains so much better than anything pre-flop, particularly in week 1 and particularly in a game like this where no one had any idea what they were getting on Colorado. It was so clear from the beginning. Now, it might not have gotten there, right? It got close at the end. But Colorado gets it done. And I think everybody who laid their eyes on that could see they were well coached. Their athletes were 1,000 times better. And then the question was, okay, once the game ended, what do you think, or even as the game was winding down, what do you think the line against Nebraska will be next week? Because Nebraska didn't look particularly good in their game against Minnesota. And Colorado did what Colorado did. And I said, I don't know, is it flipped? Like I said, 7.5. And it didn't seem that outlandish to me. It's 3 now. I'm going to say it's going to be above 3. And there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, it's way too much of a reaction already. I don't think it is. I don't think it's too much of a reaction at all. It is 3 right now in favor of Colorado. Now, we made an error. We just talked about how Shedeur Sanders was 150-1 before that game, and now he's 30-1. There were 150-1 still out there after the game. Some of us might have gotten a piece of that.
Oh, did you? Because when I went shopping, there was nothing. They were all off the board when I went shopping.
Yeah, well, I went shopping.
So
I went shopping in a wider net of a place. Let's just put it that way.
I got you. No, what I want to hit on there though. So you only bet Sanders, not Hunter.
I wanted to bet Hunter too, but I only have Sanders so far. But I will bet Hunter at 30-1 also.
You want to know what my biggest takeaway from that game was simply from a betting standpoint in the shows that we do all summer long. Talking about getting ready for the football season, NFL, college football. Hey, next time when we're getting ready for a college football season, if there's going to be some stud on any team who's starting at wide receiver and cornerback, give me a heads up because I'm probably going to take a flyer on that. I just don't know these guys, Gil. Come on.
Well, I mean, and to the degree that he did so, and to the level of excellence,
it was incredible.
It was incredible. It was incredible every which way. So there was the in-game realization. There was the get on those Heisman numbers, 150-1. I'll take that all day long. Mm-hmm. I don't think the line is an overreaction at all. I don't think the Heisman move is an overreaction at all because you don't know with these guys. Even if they get to a bowl game and this were to sustain over a full season, and yes, I know Caleb Williams is still out there and any number of other players are still out there. But give me that triple digit. I'll take that triple digit. I'll even take 30-1 on either of these guys. Sure.
I had this conversation yesterday. With Nebraska on deck, you might be sitting here and saying, okay, you missed out on the 150-1. It's 30-1 now, or, triple digits and it's 30, whatever you can find now. I mean, there's an argument to make if you're really that excited about it. I'm not. I'm still kind of like, okay, let's see how this plays out. I'm just rooting for Prime and Chaos because, yes, he got hated on so much by so many college football heads throughout the offseason, and he stuck to his guns of how he was going to build his program, and, man, it worked week 1 at least.
It sure did.
So I don't know how we're going to go forward, but, Gil, there's a chance. I mean, if they end up rolling Nebraska, those 30-1s go to 15-10-1.
Oh, there's no question.
So
now, do I think they'll beat an Oregon? No.
Right.
Not necessarily.
USC.
Right. I don't. But Nebraska, for those who say, oh, that's such an overreaction, did you watch Nebraska and did you watch Colorado? And remember, this is going to be an elevation. This is going to be at, 5,420 feet, as they like to say in the Mile High City. Their new fast-paced style of play. This was at 100-plus degrees the other day against TCU.
Which makes Travis Hunter even more impressive.
It's unbelievable.
The 111 snaps.
And I just want to say this again. It's such a shot in the arm for college football in the final year of the 14 playoff where, again, it's top-heavy. We know the usual suspects are going to vie for the national championship, and this team isn't. This just in. But I'll just tell you, I'm supposed to go to the Giants game on Friday in San Francisco. Typically, if I did that, I would come back at a leisurely pace on a Saturday morning. They're playing Saturday morning. I made sure, I'm not even kidding.
Whoa.
I made sure to get a 6 a.m. flight just so I don't have any distractions and I can watch Colorado.
I like must-watch TV for Gil Alexander.
No, I'm saying that, but that's how great. I was texting those guys also. It's nothing's going to top this for the rest of the weekend, even Florida State LSU.
Yeah.
All right, about Colorado. This was just, I started the show by saying, this is such a shot in the arm for college football, I think. No, they're not winning the national title. But in a year when it's the final year of a 4-team playoff and the usual suspects will be the ones competing for that, what a great story this becomes. And I'll tell you, I made a bet on Shedeur Sanders to win the Heisman. I'll make a bet on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman just to have those big numbers out there. I don't know if they get there, but I just want to have those tickets at the current prices, and I got a really good one on Sanders. Everything changed with them, right? Their season win total, adjusted season win total went up to 5. What about this game this weekend? First of all, do you agree with all of that? Are you as excited? And then what about this game against Nebraska, where it was an 8.5-point dog as a look ahead, and now right behind me here at the D, Colorado is a 3-point favorite. Do you agree with that adjustment?
All right, so to all of it, first of all, I'm probably the biggest Deion Sanders fan ever. I mean, somewhere downstairs in my basement here, there's a jersey from my freshman year in college. I mean, he's my favorite sports personality. With that said, his post-game press conference was a disaster. He can't turn this into us against the world and make people not like him and get all mad at the media and say, "Oh, you don't believe, you don't believe, you don't believe." That defense stunk. Their defense did not come up with the stops against TCU. The other thing to remember with this before getting too excited, TCU only got like 3 starters back. I mean, this was a team that also could have used a week 1 tune-up. With that said, you don't throw for 500 yards if you're not doing something right. And the big key piece of this is for all the other parts to Colorado, Sean Lewis from Kent State. He was the head coach there for the last 2 years, ran this flash fast offense that went a million miles an hour. And the whole argument was, what would happen if you've got really great players to run this thing? And this is where give Coach Prime credit. I mean, I'm a believer in how he put this together. It's like, okay, we had bad players. We're going to get good ones. He just cut through the BS and got there. You made a great decision to get Lewis, to get this guy and get this offense with these players. And boom, here we go. So it's great.
And not to interrupt Pete, but like, how about Shedeur Sanders after the game going, I just threw for more yards than I ever have against anyone on any level. I thought that comment sort of stuck with me too.
Well, there's a whole bunch of things. You can and I did. You can fun stat to death the last 9 quarters of TCU football between the Georgia National Championship and the second half against of Michigan. They've had a little bit of a rough run defensively. So, but again, you don't do that unless you've got the guys. So they're going to be fun the rest of this way out. In terms of Heisman thing, I'm with you. Shedeur Sanders, maybe. Travis Hunter, no, because he's just not going to have the stats at the end of the day. He might be a finalist in some way, but he's not going to win it. But here's the crazy part about Colorado. As great as they are, they were probably only the 5th or 6th most impressive team in the Pac-12, which is still undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, Shedeur Sanders is great. Uyunglele, my guy, was amazing. Michael Penix Jr. was great. Nobody has seen Caleb Williams yet because they've been on the Pac-12 network, but USC's been awesome. The whole Pac-12 has been great so far, which means this is just going to be one wild year.
Was that fun enough for you with Colorado? What did you think about it all?
Look, I mean, I give them credit in terms of the fact that they were 3 touchdown underdogs and they went on the road and beat an opponent. Now, granted, that opponent breaking in a new quarterback, new running back, the top 2 receivers, 3 new offensive line starters, and an offensive coordinator. So, Colorado went down there and did it, but TCU was, had a lot of loss of personnel. And when I say that in terms of how much TCU lost, they did still gain 6.8 yards of play on Colorado. So, don't start the parade yet in Boulder. That's a great win. Give him credit, but maybe Coach Prime can leave the messianic complex for another day.
There we go. I was waiting to see if we got through the whole show without any of that. There we go. There's some anti-Prime talk. Yeah, go ahead, Wes. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, look, it's not the media's job to, get on bended knee and kiss your backside.
Yeah.
Okay, there's going to be scrutiny with this program, but it's one game. It's like, you said we couldn't do anything. Maybe give that rah-rah speech in the press conference when you win the conference title, or when you win a major bowl game.
I'm with you, Wes. I didn't love how the whole transition went this offseason. I'm the first person to say that because I'm 1,000 years old, apparently. But it was hard to not love and with all your caveats, you're 100% right. It was hard to not really get into what we saw on the football field with all of that. I mean, let's just talk about the Nebraska game. Would you lay the 3? Would you take the 3? Would you stay away?
I'm leaning a little bit Nebraska. I'm waiting to see where this line goes. I was not surprised to see the adjustment made, being that I think it was around a touchdown on average in terms of Nebraska being a favorite. And now you knew that they were going to come an underdog because, despite the after-game post-game press conference, that was a hell of a fun game just to watch, whether you had skin in the game or not, to see this team, go on the road, 86 new players, and win and beat a team that was in the college football playoff last year. But I look at it, and I mentioned about the 6.8 yards of play. that's a concern defensively. And if you watch Colorado in the spring game, you knew that they were going to be pretty good offensively. Shedeur Sanders is not just, some privileged coach's kid. This kid had 16 Power 5 offers. So people knew that Shedeur Sanders could play, and he showed he could play on Saturday. However, this is an upgrade in defense, because if you look at what Nebraska did, despite the fact that that game wasn't a very fun watch and they didn't look good in the box score, they held Minnesota to 251 yards of total offense. And Nebraska, I thought, really should have won the game if Jeff Sims doesn't throw 3 interceptions. So I think that the offense is going to be better this week. I think this is going to be a tougher defense for Colorado. So I'm looking to take Nebraska, but based on what I'm seeing, in terms of a lot of the media coverage, I don't think a lot of people are looking to bet Nebraska right away, and they're waiting long term.
I have already bet Colorado -2.5. Let me just again repeat what I have bet on this show here.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.